What's up, everyone? It's Team JVS back with another review. We are here with Clipped. And if you guys aren't familiar with this is based on a true story, a bunch of crazy events that happened about 10 years ago. And when I heard that this was going to be released, I was excited to dive into it. But of course, I am joined here with Samuel Leggett, of course. And we're excited to just dive into this and talk about it because I know a lot of not just television watchers, but just sports fans can, look into this craziness because this is not just your typical sports show. It's a lot. It's a lot, man. And I think I don't know. I want to before we say anything, I really want you to kind of explain your first thoughts or talk about your first thoughts going into this because you didn't really know too much about it when I was like, "Hey, we got to watch this. This is going to be very interesting."
Yeah, I knew about, the situation with Donald Sterling and kind of like how that opened up and the controversy between it, but I didn't know they were going to make this a show. I didn't know they were going to freaking have Lawrence Fishburne as Doc Ed from God, he's been in everything. My wife and kids and everything in between as Donald Sterling. And
My
then
wife and kids. You mean Married with Children?
Married with Children, you got it, you got it. But the thing about it is it's not like you said, it's not just a linear story. Like they tell it in certain ways from every different angle, and they do it so compelling. Like it's a very entertaining show. And I did not anticipate that. I thought it was just going to be by the numbers, documentary style, like you get to the meat and potatoes. I didn't think that they would take it from so many different directions. But yeah, go ahead.
I think one thing I really enjoy is seeing it from all the different perspectives, like you mentioned. It's a really crazy situation. Of course, everything he says, it's just terrible. So, going from Doc's perspective, someone who's new to the franchise, who's trying to get the trust of his players, but on top of that, just trying to get into this organization, and then dealing with the man himself, Donald Sterling, who is just so kind of nonchalant about it. Just doesn't see the big deal of it
Yeah.
all, and just it just kind of pushes into the terrible personality that he does have. And they're really good at diving into each person's like kind of headspace because so far they're kind of focusing on a decent amount of characters, but they are giving each one of those characters a reason to already be on edge. So with this situation kind of coming around the corner, it's hitting them really heavily, and it's really interesting to see, how everyone's kind of reacting to not only their own crap that they're going through, but with everything that's being pushed out to them at once. And it's really interesting to see how everyone's kind of coping with the craziness that they're being hit with.
Yeah. And I think one thing I'll say that's selling it is Cleopatra Coleman as V. She is
Phenomenal.
very good in this role. And it's crazy because the last thing I just saw her in was Rebel Moon, ironically. That was the last thing I just saw her in. And so for her to take on a character so I don't even know how to describe it. There's moments where she seems really naive. There's moments where she seems like really desperate. Other moments where she seems
Yeah.
really vindictive. Like it's a very multi-dimensional character. Whereas
And
it could have just been like,
it's kind of making it more interesting that way because honestly, going into this, I just assumed she'd be that one-dimensional gold digging character,
yeah,
but they're doing a really good job kind of like explaining why she's at this point, what she's willing to do, like what she's just there's just so much more to it, and it's just so interesting to see why she's doing what she's doing and what she's willing to do to get what she wants.
yeah,
And it's been crazy. And I think she's doing a phenomenal job showing the desperation, but at the same time the control that she has over him, the being naive when it comes to wait, maybe I don't have this leverage, but there's just so many layers to it, which just I feel like it's challenging to bring that to life, and I feel like Cleopatra's kind of killing it in that area because there's just so many different emotions that you need to be able to portray in such little in the 1 hour time that we have, and they're just managing to kind of not sympathize with her, but to just dig deep and just realize like that everyone here has their own thing on the side. Everyone here has their own thing they're doing. It's hard to explain.
yeah. And I think the thing I'll say is with Ed O'Neill and Jackie Rivers, um, The thing I'll say about Jackie is she's playing her role very well also, and she's got great chemistry with Ed. But at the meat and potatoes of it is there are moments where I feel sorry for Ed's character where I'm like, oh man, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just sitting there talking in the side of his mouth, right? But ignorance in and of itself does not allow or invoke something that is just supposed to be accepted. And the ignorance is coming from technically all three of these characters, but specifically from Donald and his wife. There are certain things that they're flippantly saying because they're at a place of privilege in a place in their life where they've done this for 60 years, like they've been okay. And it's like that ignorance is the thing that's the small thing that is disrupting every other character dynamic because that small bit of ignorance is affecting not only the staff but it's affecting the players and the whole entire foundation that Donald supposedly built. And it's just interesting because in a situation like this where they could have just presented like, oh, the tape is out, like they take their slow roll time to allow you to kind of see like, oh man, he about to put his foot in his mouth. But dang, I'm gonna actually feel it all because he don't know what he actually really did. And Lawrence Fishburne, he is killing this. He is doing such a good job. I mean, down to the voice, down to his posture, how he carries himself. And I think there's a level of vulnerability there because the weird thing is every single character or characters or actual people that were there, they play roles in this. And to see him interacting with actual people is so interesting. But yeah, we don't want to spoil it, but there's a lot of people you're gonna see that you recognize.
There's no subtle hint to even just see who we're talking about. But reading Rainbow. But anyways, I'm really excited to just hear what you guys have to say. I feel like we've covered a decent amount of. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I do think that
Yeah.
the way that they kind of handled some of the other characters that surround the team, um, I think that they did a good job of kind of allowing us to kind of breathe for a second because in certain situations like this, it's like rush, 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 rush. The first episode felt really long, but really it was just 49 minutes because it feels so full. And I think that's because they allow certain characters and certain people to have time. And I think that it makes the story feel more full. So that by the time we get to the end of this limited series, I think we're going to get like a very interesting dynamic because we're going to be rooting for something we know where it's going to end. And it's just so like even when they're seeing the basketball games, like the actors that are playing the role of certain characters, like Chris Paul and others. But yeah, I'm very intrigued to see how they play this out because they're doing such a good job with the acting, with the characters, with the progression of it. At times it's funny, at times it's really sad, and at times it's like very offensive. And again, I kind of harping on the ignorant side of this. There's a moment where the character V says to her friend who is black, "It's like, I'm not black." And that's a very interesting social stigma because the perception of a person, whether they're mixed in race or not, is that they're black. And that goes down a whole different road.
Hmm.
And in small little moments like this, these moments of ignorance or lack of understanding, like Donald's wife has a conversation with one of her best friends, and she just kind of says, like, they're ghetto, they do this ignorance. And it's like a cancer. And it's very interesting how this show tries to allow small spurts of that to show what it actually can cause. So that's one thing I just wanted to say, and I'm enjoying it.
No, yeah. I mean, for me, I'm a big NBA fan, and I feel like a lot of people who aren't just television watchers, but find a reason to enjoy sports are gonna enjoy it. I mean, I'm interested in a lot of people's reactions to some of the casting choices, and there's some people that you see, and you're just like, wait, that's that person. that's who they're casting to play that person. I don't know. It's just really fun. I'm having fun with this. Um, but at the end of the day, it's just extremely dramatic. Extreme. It's crazy. Like the situation's real. It happened. So to see it from this standpoint, because I remember when everything was happening, I was a young dude. I was like 13, 14. So I didn't really get a whole grasp of the situation. And watching it now, I'm seeing it all like, it's just so crazy that this is an actual thing and that people are this ignorant. So it's just it's insane to see it. And I don't know. I recommend it. I mean, I'm excited to hear your final grade of what we saw.
Yeah, I'd rate this at A minus to B plus. I think they're doing a really good job with
Mhm.
it. Acting is actually really good. It's very entertaining. Like by the time you get to the second episode, like you're hook, line, and sinker. Like if you can get through the first episode, I think you won't be able to stop. Um,
Mhm.
we're in that same situation where we were literally about to go to the next episode. So yeah, A minus to B plus for me.
I'm giving it a B plus. I am excited for more because what we saw in the first two episodes were extremely like it was a lot. And again, diving into what's to come, I know it's gonna end up it's gonna be interesting. But like I said, the first episode kind of felt like it was stretched out a little bit for me. It was just there was a lot of information that we're giving out at once, so it just felt like it was over an hour when that wasn't the case. But then the second episode, I feel like I enjoyed it a little more. It was just a lot going into this, so it's gonna be interesting to hear what everyone else has to say. So I'm gonna leave it there. But
Yeah.
again, thank you for watching. Or you got something else to say?
No, no, no. You basketball fans out there, you will not be disappointed.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, we're gonna head out. Thank you so much for watching. We may cover more episodes. We'll see. If you guys enjoyed this, let us know in the comment section below. Check Busy Bron's content out in the description bar below. Check out his busy reactions and more stuff to come. We're gonna go. Take care, everybody. Peace. Bye. More basketball.
Falling out the top of I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on my mind.